Alright everyone, we start off today talking about Visa and Mastercard tracing gun purchases. This was suggested by New York State. I don't even think that they've passed their law, and Visa and Mastercard don't really like free speech or free expression. They're not pro-gun. They tend to have, the people that run these companies, the problem is they live in penthouses in urban areas, so they don't appreciate, the way of life of small town or rural Americans, or even suburbanites for that matter. You're on the edge of the ghetto. They want to keep you from purchasing a piece in order to prevent home invasion or something. Here's my suggestion. Because this is effectively a weaponized branch of the U.S. government, you've got the card duopoly. It's sort of like with Google and Apple. They're the app duopoly for smartphones. They are trying to get us into a situation where things will be cashless and they can trace everything. There are some people that are saying, well, this will be helpful for law enforcement. We'll know who's buying what guns. You already have to fill out a background check form in order to buy a firearm anyway. It's already traced. It's already in the system. And I'm assuming that if you're doing like a straw purchase sort of thing, you're not using a card for that. You're using cash for that. By the way, straw purchases, buying for someone ineligible, big mistake legally. If you're buying a shotgun from Old Farmer John that you saw listed on some fucking website for gun purchases, you're doing it informally. You're not using your card. You're using cash. Maybe you're buying it with silver or something like that. It's not going to affect any of those. It's not going to affect inbred Jed who hates his ex-girlfriend and decides to buy a piece out of the back of a sketchy-looking van in an alleyway somewhere. So it's not actually going to be helpful for law enforcement. Clearly that's not the point. What the point is simply to put another onerous layer on people who want to own guns. It will get to the point where they try to ban cash sales for firearms. It'll start in the blue states. I guarantee this will happen. Give it a few years. They'll try to ban cash purchases. And then they will try to use Visa and Mastercard and other banking and similar firms, anything related with finance, to try to block the sale entirely if the person is politically incorrect, a dissident. There's something clearly wrong with them. They'll probably try to just crack down on their bank accounts when they realize that it doesn't work. But there's a silver lining to this dark cloud, and that's that you should support local businesses. Withdraw the money in cash at the fucking ATM. Go to your local gun shop where someone who lives in your community is peddling the good shit and buy a gun there. Does that mean that the selection is necessarily as large as if you get it shipped in, having paid for the gun with your card on a website somewhere from a manufacturer? No, the availability may be smaller. Go into any decent local gun shop anywhere in the country. You're going to find plenty of good shit. Back in Rutland, for example, there's, I think, 3 gun shops just in the limits of Rutland. If you're willing to take a 30-minute drive, there's 5 or 6 more. It's not exactly a gun desert. Food desert, maybe, at times, although it's improving. Maybe the Biden economy will crush that dream as well. I know Seward's Family Restaurant is apparently closing, so I'll never get those delicious beer-battered fries or a super chili dog again. It really fucking rankles me. Just saying that it's a little bit annoying. But it is an opportunity. Don't go to Walmart to get a gun, because that's stupid. Don't buy your ammo from Super Incorporation Incorporated or something like that. Hey, Super Incorporation online. I just bought 10,000 rounds of ammunition. Isn't this cool? I got it shipped right to my door, and the sale was tracked. Now, you may not care about that for ammo. Of course, it's regulated differently from actual firearms. With actual firearms, though, now what I would suggest is that you buy it in person if it's possible to do so. Straw purchases, bad idea for legal reasons, but if you're doing it for yourself, that's what I would recommend. So give those local businesses a little bit more support, because they're going to need the support. If all of them go away, you're going to be tracked on your gun purchases. I've seen, like here in the Netherlands, you never see anyone under 30 using cash for the most part, unless they're clearly a homeless person. Mostly they use their phones to pay. You rarely see someone under 50 not at least using a card. Like when I get groceries, I tend to just use my debit card. It's linked to my account. I pay with cash sometimes. There's no problem with it. We're going to get to the point, though, where cash is effectively driven to the sidelines, and it won't affect small-town America, but for all of you in the suburbs and urban areas, it'll definitely impact you. This move should be opposed. In fact, it should be unconstitutional. In my opinion, corporations should cede to the First, Second, and Fourth Amendments especially. We see corporations being used more and more explicitly by the U.S. government to try to weaponize them against U.S. citizens. We've seen this with guns multiple times. We see it with the right to a fair trial. We had big tech firms that still allow open defamation, for example, of Kyle Rittenhouse. He was trending the other day, people calling him a murderer despite the fact that he was found not guilty of murder. This is actual defamation. It's potentially actionable. Nothing is done about it. I remember when the kerfuffle there first happened in Kenosha. Kyle Rittenhouse's GoFundMe was taken down almost immediately. Oh my God, we can't do that. He's good. They think that he committed a murder, so he's not allowed to raise funds. The dude, meanwhile, who tried to murder him, who is guilty of that, literally pointed a gun at Rittenhouse and got his hand blown half off in the process, he was allowed to have a GoFundMe. Rittenhouse had to go through his fucking legal team at the time in order to raise funds to pay for his legal defense. Clearly, a corporation took sides in an ongoing legal battle. They shouldn't be capable of doing that. The problem is that too few corporations control too many things. Visa and Mastercard form a de facto duopoly. It's like Apple and Google with their Play stores, with the app, the world of apps that all the Zoomers use, which is a terrible idea. And again, you're ceding more of your liberty and your ability to speak and remain private on these platforms. But I guess we millennials can't complain about the Zoomers too much. Didn't we go from don't say your name online, Mama done told you, to hey, you have to put in your social security card to use this new platform? Yeah, we sort of got the ball rolling. Sorry about that, Zoomers. I think millennials helped to wreck the internet just as much as the boomers getting on Instagram did. Here's the thing. There shouldn't be any tracking by corporations of these purchases. Again, it's pig and a pokerism. You already have a tracking of those sales by the federal government. You already fill out forms. You already give all your info. You already have to check the boxes swearing that you're not a felon and you're not on the run from the law, you're not a fugitive or something like that. You already have to put all of that information into their database. It doesn't take very long, but you still have to fill out those forms. So why do we need the credit card companies tracing people? It's not necessary. I have a feeling that the next step will be that it'll impact your credit score. You tried to buy a gun, and we think that makes you more risky because more guns in the home equals more suicide and shit like that. And so your credit score just dropped by 5 points. Good luck getting that loan, asshole. That's what this is going to lead towards. That's the entire goal. Since it clearly has nothing to do with criminal justice, law enforcement tracing things for that purpose, there has to be another purpose. They're not just doing it because, hey, we suddenly thought of this great idea. The second Hochul recommended it, the governor of New York, the steward of New York, really, of course, finishing out a term that she was not even elected to because, Cuomo had to leave because he killed Grandma. These people want to make sure that you're safe. Remember that they're followed around with dudes with guns and a license to use them in basically any situation. They have their own private security. But they don't want you to get your .22 Prairie rifle because that makes you a dangerous person. That's about all. Peace out.